Hey, 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 hello everyone out there. Guess what day it is? It is Thanksgiving Thursday. That's right. And here we are. Guess what? We're in season 5. So welcome everybody to the Question Live Show again with yours truly, Verona Willis-Brown. It is Thanksgiving Thursday. What is it that you are giving thanks for? Yes. Thanksgiving is not only on the last Thursday in November, it is every single day. And every day we should have something to give thanks for. The common breath that you're breathing, give thanks. The common fact that you are watching me, give thanks. So, whatever it is, give thanks. Today is Thanksgiving Thursday, right here on the Question Live Show. Well, tonight is going to be juicy. We are going to bring awareness, enlightenment. We are going to bring inspiration, empowerment, all that in one big bowl. So it's going to be really, really, really good tonight. I mean, hey, you determine how good every Thursday is. But tonight, my brother is going to come and we're going to stir the pot. So again, welcome. So we have rules here. Yes, we do. What are the rules? It might be 1 or 2 or 3 rules. Now, if you're watching me and if you see that sign up there, that sign that says live in that little red rectangle, simply means you are in the live audience. And what happens when you're in the live audience? You share. Share this live audience and invite someone else to come in with us and be in the live show. What better place to be than in the live show, right? So that's one oath rule. The second one is have your pen and have your paper to write. Write. We drop juicy contents here and golden nuggets. Why? We need to be educated. And sometimes we go fast and then we miss what is being said. So be attentive and have your writing tools ready. But guess what? If you don't have a pen and a paper, use your devices. I believe all devices come with a notepad section. So take your time and drop down your juicy contents. Now, the third one is, that's it. Have something to drink. I might be doing the talking, or my guest might be doing the talking. So we ask you to drink in our honor. Maybe sometime I might take a sip, just because. What we ask you to drink, hydrate. I mean, regardless, hydration is good for you. Whether it's winter, summer, spring, or fall, you need to be hydrated. So have something to drink. So those are the 3 house rules that we have here. Simple. But let me throw this in there. If you are watching on YouTube, share. Let me know that you are watching and let me know where you're tuning in from, right? Just well enough for us to know where everybody's tuning in from so we can celebrate wherever you're tuning in from. So now that's said, I am going to give you like 5 seconds to do all of that and go to the bathroom real quick and come to start the show. 5. That's it. Your 5 seconds over. Now, if you're ready, then we are ready. So let me stop talking. Wow. I go to bring on our guest tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, here is our guest tonight, my brother, Frederick Reynolds. Hello, 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 my dear. Hello, welcome to the Question Live Show with yours truly, Verona Willis-Brown. My question is always be, how are you doing, truthfully?
I'm good, Verona. Thank you for having me on tonight. You look lovely,
Good.
by the way. Let me get that out of the way.
So, what I will do, I will have you introduce yourself and tell us where you're tuning in from. Give us a little bit about who you are.
Okay. My name is Frederick Douglass Reynolds. I'm 60 years old. I live in Southern California at the moment, where it's about 96 degrees here. So, those of you who aren't as blessed as I am at the moment, don't be jealous. I can FedEx you some of this heat if you want, as me and Verona talked about earlier. But I was born in Virginia, and my family moved to Detroit when I was about 3 years old. So I actually grew up on the main streets of Detroit, Michigan, during the '60s and the '70s. I was a pretty smart kid. I learned to read early. Reading was my passion, as was writing. I also had a gift for art. I was a very, very good drawer, very good painter. Some of my artwork was entered into competitions when I was a child. But along the way, I went started going down the wrong path, and I started hanging out with people whose interests weren't aligned with mine, and I got involved with street gangs and drugs, and you know I committed some burglaries, some robberies when I was a teenager. Ended up going to juvenile hall, went to jail several times. Saw some of my friends murdered along the way, but it got to a point where I knew that wasn't the life that I wanted. I had dropped out of school, um, in the 10th grade, and I had a very promising future in school because I started high school when I was 12 years old, because I had been put up a couple of grades. But I ended up dropping out of high school in the 10th grade, and going to jail, and I bummed around on the streets until one day I just said to myself, I don't want to end up in prison. I don't want to die like some of my friends had been murdered. So one day I was walking down the street, and I saw a military recruiting station, and I just went in, and I joined the Marine Corps. I had to get away, and a month later I was in Southern California in boot camp. When I graduated from boot camp, I went to Japan, where I spent a year. Came back and ended up meeting a young lady from a city called Compton. I had never heard of Compton before. Now I believe Compton is probably one of the smallest well-known city in the world. And she and I ended up not being together. I was homeless for a while, jobless for a while, and I ended up being a police officer of all things, a career that I never would have dreamed, a profession that I never would have dreamed that I would have been involved in. And I was a police officer in the city of Compton, and during that time, I saw a lot of horrible things. Two of my friends were murdered. Um, I ended up being involved in an investigation of corrupt cops that were stealing kilos of cocaine from the narcotics vault, and I lost my way a lot. Drank heavily. Like I said, I had a failed marriage. I wasn't as good of a father as I should have been for the two kids that I had from my marriage. Um, and a lot of times, like I said, I almost lost my way. I was drinking a lot, and I was basically alone. I didn't have any relatives out here. I was 3,000 miles from where I grew up, where I had family, and a lot of times I felt like I was on an island. And then I met a young lady um, at the job where I was working, and I ended up falling in love with her, and we got married, and we've been together since 1995, and I'm still with her. Love her to death. With her, she helped me stay on the right path. She helped me keep my feet pointed in the right direction, and I was able to do that. And I had a very good career as a police officer, and I retired in 2017 after 32 years. And along the way, I dealt with seeing the bad things that we've all come to dread in regard to law enforcement interaction with our brothers and sisters in our communities. I was confronted with it as well. Racism, it rears its ugly head often, but how we proceed in life is how we deal with it. And I was able to overcome every obstacle in my way along the way, to where I reached the point to where I was able to retire with my wife, and we have lovely kids in college, and I'm happy with the way my life turned out, especially when I look back on it and see how it could have ended up um, there before the grace of God. But we all have choices to make. Um, thank God I made the right choices, and even on those few occasions when I made wrong choices, uh, something was there, something divine was there to help guide me toward the right path. So that's my life in a nutshell. If I can tell you about 60 years in 5 minutes, that was it.
I love that. That's your story, and you're going to stick to it.
That's my story. Yeah.
Yes. And I was just sitting backstage like, keep on, just carry on. I first of all, I want to celebrate you because I like to celebrate when we reach somewhere, when we accomplish something. So I want to celebrate you. For one, you didn't give up on yourself. And you mentioned that you were homeless, but you were not hopeless. So I
True.
want to celebrate you on that. And then two, or maybe three, I don't even know what I reached out. I'm just celebrating you. You served 32 years as a police officer.
Yes.
I know you're retired.
Yes.
So that's my big celebration for you. I want to celebrate you like grand. I can't celebrate you 32 times, but hey, if I had my clap, I would have to clap like 33 times, then we take up the entire show. So no. So audience, here we are, my brother, 32 years of service in the police force.
Thank you.
My goodness.
Yeah.
My
We need
heart.
we need good cops. You have to have law enforcement, but you have to have just law enforcement. You have to have law enforcement officers that respect the communities that they're responsible for safeguarding. Uh,
Yeah.
we we cannot have a viable society without some kind of laws in place. We just can't. So we have to make it better. We have to make it work because we need it. You're going to always have to have it.
Yeah, and law enforcement is needed. And it's so sad when the perception of cops that, and I think I jot this down somehow. The way we perceive things is the way we proceed,
Absolutely.
right? So when
Absolutely.
we are looking at cops, we see the uniform is like something trigger.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's intended. That was not the original intention.
No, it wasn't. It's incumbent upon all police officers to leave positive, lasting impressions upon everybody that they come across.
Right.
Cops are human. They have bad days, and sometimes they might be in a bad mood while they're at work. But they have to learn how to leave that behind, because if there's one encounter that people always remember, it's an encounter with a police officer. Okay. You always remember that. Yeah,
Yes.
I can remember getting a ticket when I was 20 years old. I can remember being pulled over by racist cops when I was 19 years old, like it was yesterday. I can remember the way they talked to me, the way they made me feel like I was nothing. And that was an encounter that will stay with me forever. Even though once I got further along into my career, I realized that there were thousands of good men and women that wore the uniform and the badge. But because of my negative encounters with law enforcement, that tainted all my future interpretations of law enforcement, which is
Yeah.
where we are now. And because everybody has a movie camera in their pockets 24/7, you can actually record every negative encounter that you see and broadcast it around the world instantaneously, right?
Yes.
So now, not only does the person who has that negative encounter have a lasting memory of it, but everyone who has seen that negative encounter has a lasting memory of it. And that's why these incidents are becoming so huge, and why cops are seen so negatively now, because we can't get out of our own way.
Everybody, I don't tell you, we drop juicy contents here. And that's the thing, when we are traumatized by a thing, it's so hard to drop off those traumatic moments, whether we are the victims or we are the one seeing it. So we are victims one way or the other, whether it is personally or by our perception. We are
Absolutely,
victims.
absolutely, absolutely.
And traumatic event is like walking nightmare.
It
It's a
is.
shadow.
You're so right, Verona, when you say whether you're involved or directly or just a spectator, it triggers you just the same. You
Yeah.
still have that PTSD, those PTSD feelings, whether you were there or not. Like, I mean, I go back to the Academy Awards. I was devastated. You know what I mean? Will Smith has always been my favorite actor in the world. He has always been someone that I looked up to.
From Fresh
Um,
Prince of Bel Air.
well, for our people, right?
Yeah.
And when that happened on the Academy Awards, I was devastated behind it. You know what I mean? I was devastated when I saw what happened to George Floyd. Even though I was retired at the time, I'm watching it on TV. I was devastated, right? I
Exactly.
have a child. He was 8 years old at the time. My wife and I adopted a child at risk when he was 7 days old, so he didn't go into a foster care home. So now he was 8 when that happened, and you know, he calls me Papa, and we're watching this on the news, and he says, "Papa, why is the bad man hurting the good one?"
There you
The,
go.
I mean, the roles have been totally reversed, right? So now he's seeing the police as the bad guy, and he's seeing the bad guy as the good guy, right? So his whole paradigm shifted. uh,
Yes.
and I'm like, he's 8 years old, and because it was really traumatizing for me that he had to see that, and that it perverted his way of thinking as in terms of the way we're supposed to be as far as law enforcement interacting with those breaking the law. So yeah, that was an impetus for me to start writing this book. Um, my memoirs that I had started on long ago, but I kind of put it aside and I wasn't really serious about it. But when that happened, I felt like I needed to finish it because I needed people to understand um, what's going on, and how a police officer, particularly a Black police officer, views things that are going on in our country today, and the things that we have to deal with that people don't talk about.
Right.
I wanted everyone to see it from a different viewpoint, because the Black police officers is very difficult policing your culture. When you want your culture to be safe, you want to treat your culture with respect, but you see
Mhm.
people wearing the same uniform that you're wearing that are not of your culture doing the exact opposite. And you find yourself being tugged in two different directions, right? So in this book, I addressed it. I addressed how I dealt with it. And I think it's a real eye opener for people to kind of come to terms with what our, you know, black police officers are dealing with. You know what I mean? Because we have to have black police officers, Verona. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Can you imagine a society when all the cops, if you know all the cops are white, we would
No,
be we would
I
be
would
up in
not.
arms, right? We would be up in arms. We'd be marching on every day. We have to have black cops, but we as a people, we have to support our black cops. But the black cops have to show the same respect and they have to reciprocate that support to their communities. And
Absolutely.
that's where there's a divide, you know. And the best cops learn how to bridge that divide. And the worst cops don't give a damn about that divide.
And we shouldn't have a division because
We
if
should.
we are saying the cop, because that's a family, it's a family. And we shouldn't have a division in the family for that because
No,
we shouldn't have a division based on skin color.
right.
Right? We shouldn't have that. And it's so sad that this is what we are facing, that we are having a division based on color, the skin color. Why should that matter? We're
Right.
in a family, we're in a tribe, we're together.
Right.
So simple mean if you're black, if you're white, if you're purple, if you're blue, you're pink. No, it's supposed to be a mindset that you're coming to protect me.
We're all the same. We're
It's
all the
supposed to be one intent that you're protecting the community. That's
we
supposed to be the intent.
we as a species, we can't evolve until we understand that we're all the same. That we're all the same. That we
Simple.
that we have to be judged on the content of our character and not by the color of our
Of
skin.
your skin. Simple.
Martin Luther King said. But I mean, that was a profound statement. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Just because you and I look the same, we have the same skin color, it doesn't mean that we're both the same, right? We can have different things in our heart. You could have
Yeah,
evil in your heart. I could have good in my heart. I'm not going to support you just because we're the same color. If your heart is evil and mine is good, right?
absolutely.
And that's the tribe I want to be in. I want to be in the tribe of people that have goodness in their heart and want the best for others.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you in your book, again, ladies and gentlemen, the book is called, let's put up the book again. This is the book. The book is called Black, White, and Gray All Over. And we are going to go deeply into a little bit more of the title. A Black Man's Odyssey in Life and Law Enforcement. Okay, so as we can see, we go through all of these crime and we go to all of these traumatic events, and then we see protests. They're protesting and they're protesting here and there and there. Do you believe that protesting solve racism?
I believe that brings awareness to racism because the marches in Selma certainly did. But those marches, they were peaceful. Um, I think you can bring awareness to injustices without being violent, without hurting other people, without setting fire to your own neighborhoods. I have lived through two. In 1967, there was a riot in Detroit. I was a child. I lived through that one. And then in 1992 with the Rodney King incident,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually worked. I was working the day it started. I understood the frustration. I understood the anger, but we were burning down our own neighborhoods. And when
Yes.
you the next morning, you didn't even have a grocery store to go get food for your family from. So you created an even bigger problem than the one you had before. So,
Yes.
I just, peaceful protests to bring, light onto things that are bad. I'm always a big supporter of that because it has worked in the past.
Yeah. So it brings, you said it, awareness.
Yes.
And I think so because I think that the last big one we had was with George Floyd.
Oh, that was huge. Yeah,
I mean, that was like grand. I think
yeah.
that probably was like the biggest of the biggest. Like it was grand
One of the biggest in probably in history. It
in
was
history. I don't even think when Martin Luther was,
no, no, he
I
wasn't.
don't think nothing overpowered this one. Like this one was like, hey, this is it.
Right. It certainly was.
And I think the child that's born today will hear about it.
Oh yeah, that I mean that this is going to be something that 1,000 years from now they'll be talking about that. So it
Yes.
was huge.
So the issue of racism is like having a jacket or a shirt or a hat. It's just like a piece of clothing, right? Racism. So what makes your writing highlight it, give it a different light?
I talk about it from having witnessed it and also having witnessed it done to others and also having it done to me because I was born in 1961. This Jim Crow was still going on, and my dad and my mom they grew up in Virginia, Rocky Mount, Virginia, which is a little rural city. They
Mm-hmm.
were sharecroppers, right? So
Mm-hmm.
my dad's one generation removed from slavery. Um, I can remember my dad telling me not to look at white people, in the eyes when they talk to you, and don't stare at white women or whistle them. So I have a visceral memory of racism, and I also saw the subtle racism as I got older. The racism, when white people would lock their doors when I'm walking, across the street in front of their cars, or clutch their purse a little bit tighter, when I'm walking on the sidewalk with them. Those are the subtle uh, forms of racism. I dealt with the police racism, right? Um, but I had to learn how to overcome all of those things and not be quick to judge all white people because all white people aren't racist.
Right.
Okay, hear me when I say that. All white people are not racist.
Say it. Yes.
And for us to, judge and condemn all white people because of the actions of others, it literally makes us no better than them because that's what they did to us. They judged us based on the color of our skins, and they
Yes.
treated, in an inhumane manner. And I learned how to take people as they come. I learned how to treat people as they treated me. If you treated me with respect, if you treated me as a brother, if you were white, Chinese, I don't care what you, we were brothers. And that's the way I've lived my life, and that's the way I've always, demanded respect from everyone. Because when I got to a certain position in life, I didn't have to deal with racism because it was the way that I carried myself. Now there might have been subtle racism; they didn't want to be around me, but no one was stepping to me with any kind of madness because I carried myself like I was sure of myself, and I carried myself like I was an intelligent black man, which is what they fear, right?
Yes.
That's what they fear. If
Yes.
if, if you're well read, if you're well spoken, that is the most frightening thing in the world to a racist. And I always made sure that I was well read. Like I learned how to read when I was 3 years old. I was a very, very smart child. I started high school when I was 12. So reading and my unquenchable thirst for knowledge was just a part of who I was, and it remained, and it was like that throughout my life, and it remains true today. Which is why I dropped out of high school and I was in the 10th grade. Didn't have any formal education after that. Didn't go to college. But when I felt like I needed to write a book, I was able to pick up a pen and paper and do it.
People, yeah, get the pencil. All right, so we're still on the topic of racism here. So oftentimes this is how we describe racism between white and black, right?
Right.
Now, do you see racism differently, black and black, or white and white?
No, I don't. I, I think in order for there to be racism, that the two parties have to be different races, right? Because that's the root of the word racism. You can be bigoted, right? But in order for you to be a racist, you have to be, you have to dislike another person because they're a different race than you. But I don't think racism is relegated to white versus black. I think anyone can be racist.
Yes.
Chinese people don't like the Uyghurs, right? Because they're from a different ethnic background, right? So they're racist towards them. Germans didn't like Jews, right? So all of that um, plays a role into racism and bigotry and hatred. I mean, for God's sakes, the Hutus and the Tutsis, they were killing each other in Africa, right?
Yes. Yes.
And they were killing each other on sight, and they're certainly the same skin color, right? So, sometimes hatred transcends, racism, and it transcends culture, and it's just people just don't like one another. And when people just don't like one another, they'll create a reason not to like it or to justify it, that dislike or hatred.
Yeah. And hatred is so, and the thing is, people, the strength of hatred, the strength of love, the same energy that you're putting out to hate someone, that can be reversed and put the same energy out to love someone. But yet, finding that love is so hard, but that is where we got created from. The Creator created us in love, but yet we refuse to exercise it. But here goes hate. Ding, 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 ding. And we multiply hate instead of multiplying love. And all we're saying, multiply love. And then we have a better world.
Yes.
Multiply love in such a way where you won't have to be thinking about racism. You don't have to be thinking about you black, you white, you purple. You don't have to be thinking about that if you think about love and respect each other. That's all it is. It's not supposed to be you black, you white, you from this race, you from that race. It's about you respecting me as a person.
Absolutely.
Simple. There is no difficult logic in this. You respect me, I respect you, we good to go.
Right.
And call it a day.
Right.
Why is it that you have to perceive me as the target or as the one that's the negative person because of my skin color?
Right.
Why is it that you're gonna grab your purse when I'm coming towards you because I'm a different skin color? Why is it that you are going to feel threatened because of the way I speak? No. I come to you with respect, accept me with respect, and we share.
Right.
And we have a better world. The world needs to be healed. And the world cannot heal no matter which corner you lodge because of disrespect. That's all it is. It's disrespect. And nobody wants to be the better person to say, I'm sorry. It's simple.
Yeah.
We just had this incident like 2 weeks ago that making a big thing. All we're asking for is to say sorry. We are not saying who is wrong or who is right, or we're not taking a side. I am saying just say sorry. You on this end, you did that, you did. Bro, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Easy. But you want to let that linger and linger and linger. The more you let something linger, is the more it will develop. And that develop into anger and hatred and no peace of mind.
Yeah.
So all we are calling for, people of this world, is to stop having these lingering, traumatic, hateful things. Stop trailing that and just reverse. Just reverse for a quick second. If we take each day we get up, because let me tell you, We did not wake ourselves up. Under no circumstances did the clock wake us up either. Under no circumstances did the plan that we made for today woke us up. God, in his rightful mind and his gracious self and his respectful self, decide that I'm giving you one more day. That one day is for you to approach a person that did wrong or you did them wrong and say you're sorry. One. Two, for you to say, I love you. Three, to make this place a better place by creating a peaceful environment. Those are the reasons why we get up. And four, to serve each other. To serve each other. We didn't just get up because we got to go to work this morning, or we get up because we got to go on vacation. No. We need to heal the land. And for us to heal the land, I just named four things. And those are four simple things. Why are we sitting there betraying God? We shouldn't be betraying God, and we shouldn't be ungrateful. Because when we are ungrateful, we're disrespectful. Simple, simple, simple. When we have that ungrateful mindset, we are so disrespectful to the family member, even the cat, even the dog, we are disrespectful to because we are ungrateful. You get up in the morning and you're going to think about how you're going to hurt somebody? No, you're ungrateful. You get up in the morning and you think about how you're going to feel threatened by someone? That's ungrateful. That's very much ungrateful. And that's a slap in God's face. So what in that moment that you are going to hurt someone, your life gets snatched right up? Then what? I'm just saying. Now, you've been on both sides of the law.
Yes.
My brother, talk to us. Because you served 32 years as a police officer, but somewhere before you served those years, you were behind bars.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, I engaged in burglaries. We broke in stores. I even snatched some purses when I was a kid and went to jail a couple of times. I went to juvenile hall for robbed the paper boy. Yeah, when I was 15, I took his bicycle, and yeah, that got me thrown in juvenile hall. Yeah, put on probation. So like I said, I could see my life going in a way that I just didn't want it to go in, and I was hanging out in the streets because I was having, issues at home, right? There was domestic strife, and I wanted to be away from home as much as possible. So that's why I sought solace in the streets. And I'm not going to get into the domestic issues that I had in my
Right.
home childhood. I did write about them, which was therapeutic in itself. But
Yes.
that was the primary reason why I sought the streets. And once I became a police officer, I was able to empathize with the young kids that were on that same path that I had been on, because I knew why they were out there. Some of them, right? I knew that some of them didn't want to be out there. I knew that some of them probably were dealing with the same set of situations that I had dealt with
Right.
when I was a child. So I was able to talk to them and able to approach them in that manner, rather than in a punitive manner all the time. More like a big brother or older uncle kind of manner, just to talk to them and say, hey man, I know what's going on. I know where you've been, but let me tell you this is where you're going if you don't change. And I know we spoke earlier off camera, and we were talking about reaching one.
Yes.
If we could only reach one, right? I may have told this to 50, 60 kids. Maybe I only reached one or two, but it was worth it.
Yes.
Right. it was worth it if I only reached one or two. If I kept one or two out of a premature grave, or one or two from behind bars for the rest of their lives, right? It was worth it. Um, and that's the way I approached my job. And that's the reason why I was very successful in doing what I did, because I was able to see, the things that our kids were dealing with from both sides of the fence, right? I'm not going to sit up here and sugarcoat it and say that there's no bad people out there in the world. Okay. Let me tell you, there's some bad people out there in the world. There's some people that will kick your door in, come in, kill everybody in your house, and make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich before they leave, just because they can. Okay. And those are the people that law enforcement is supposed to be protecting the rest of us from. But those kids that are at a crossroads, if you can help them from becoming that person that's making a peanut butter jelly sandwich in someone else's house, then I think we owe it, not only as law enforcement officers, but also as leaders and men and women in our communities, to guide that person or that kid in the right direction, so that they don't go that way. Because if you don't have any compassion, if you don't care, if you don't have any empathy, you'll just put your hands behind your back. You're going to jail. I don't want to hear your mouth. And that doesn't do anybody any good, right? So when you're a good, strong, effective law enforcement officer, you have to take all of that into consideration. You have to take the person that you're dealing with. You have to take their future into consideration. Because you're not just someone that just goes out and tries to take as many people to jail as you can. Sure, there's going to be some people that you have no choice, and that, as for lack of a better phrasing, that actually belong in jail. But that's not what a law enforcement's primary goal should be. A law enforcement officer's primary goal should be to help our youth if they can. And if you can reach one, you can teach one. And when you retire, when you get to the point where I am, when you're 60 years old and you did this for 32 years, you can sit back and you can have no regrets about the way you did your job. And that's where I am right now. I'm in a very happy place, and I'm not ashamed of anything that I did. I'd do it all over again.
Oh, yes. And that's more reason for me to celebrate you. So where can we get that book?
You can get it on Amazon. You can get it at Borders. You can get it at Target, Books A Million. It's out there. It's out there. It was released I released it on my dad's birthday. My dad, he died of cancer on August 18th, 2015. And I specifically wanted my book released on that day, August 18th, because I dedicated that book to him. So now every time I open it and I see the release date, I think of my dad.
Your dad was in the law enforcement as well?
No, my dad was an alcoholic.
Okay.
He worked at Ford Motor Company. I love my dad. He could have been a better father, but he had demons.
Yeah. And, which we all do.
Yeah. And when he died, he died of cancer. It destroyed me. And there's I actually write about that in the book too. So yeah.
And my condolences there. And as much time is always healing factor, and some things we just never get over. We just heal a little bit. Yeah. All right. So again, audience, the book is, let's put up the book again so you could see it. This is a book. And how yeah, you talk about black, white, and gray all over. Now, if you should replace the color gray What color would you put?
Hmm. You know, I don't think I could put another color, Verona, because gray is there because black and white mixed together is gray. And you know, cop cars are black and white. At least out here, they're black and white. And you know, just like everything else in life, you know, there's you always have to have an opposite, right? Like you have good and evil, you
Yeah.
have yin and yang, you have black and white, right? You know, goodness and evil, light and dark. I always, you know, wanted to find myself on the light side because we've been taught that the light side is the good side and the dark side is the bad side, right? But a lot of times, most of us struggle
Yes.
um, with that light and that dark side, right? And I often found myself in the middle, which was
Mm-hmm.
right as I tried to keep my feet in the light, but kept stumbling in the dark. I tried to maintain at least, you know, a path in the gray. And you know, to me, that it came to symbolize or to represent my life, both personally and professionally. Because
Yes.
as a child, when I was growing up, you know, I sought the light, but I often fell into the dark. And you know, I kept from either side by staying in the middle, by staying in the gray. And when I became a police officer, you know, there were bad cops, and then there were good cops, and then a lot of them were in the middle, in the gray area. And you know, I vowed that if I couldn't stay in that light area where all the good ones were, I was damn sure going to stay in the gray area, the
Mm.
dark side. And to me, that the title was perfect. I couldn't have picked a better title for what I wanted to write about because you know when you think of cop cars, like I said, it's black and white. But
Yes.
my my, my home was the gray. That's why I lived in the gray.
See, I, I, yeah, the way we perceive things, I perceive things in such, I don't know, sometimes I think I'm just one of those person. But I would like to replace that gray. I would
Okay.
like to replace your gray.
Okay. What do you want to
And I
replace?
would like to replace your gray with the color red.
Okay.
We oftentimes see red as power, but I am going to put red in your gray area
Okay.
because red is unity. Why I said red is unity is because every creature on this land got red blood.
Good. Yeah.
Every last one of us, no matter what size cut, the color blood is red.
Right.
No matter what creature you kill, the color blood is red.
Right.
And when we put ourselves in that mindset of unity, that is what we should see. Red. When you kill my child, or my child kill your child, or a cop kill whatever the case is, you're taking a bit of that color away.
Yeah.
You're dragging a little bit of that color. And when you're taking that color away, we are nothing. We are nothing. The level of our oxygen in our body depends on the amount of blood we have in our body.
Right.
So if you're taking my blood away, sending me to my grave prematurely, you're taking my oxygen level. And we should not be defining you as the bad cop or the good cop. We should not define you as the bad citizen or the good citizen. We were all created in a place of unity. Why is it that we are not seeing the color red as unity? It stands for unity and knowledge. Let us learn to know each other. Let us learn to wave to each other. Let us learn to smile with each other. Let us learn to serve each other, knowing that the same color blood that you are walking around with, I am doing the same thing.
It's true. I like it.
I'm doing the same thing. Let us get up with the mindset. Let us relearn, retrain our mind into this perception of life. My life is just as precious as yours.
Hmm.
The moment my eyes open this morning, your eyes open this morning, let us learn to get each other and say, I appreciate you. I see you. Don't see me as a threat. Don't see my brother as a threat. Don't see each other as a threat. Not from the knowledge or skin color. Let us see each other as beings trying to serve, trying to fulfill our purpose, trying to live out our lifespan. We never know when is our time because we didn't know when we were going to be born and we didn't know when we we're going to die.
No, we don't.
So how is it that you think that you have the right to cut me short? Mm-mm, you don't. So to the cop that consider the bad cop, what message would you want to tell that cop?
Find something else to do.
Yeah.
Find something else to do because you already, once you become a bad one, you can't go back. You got to give the badge up, right? Find something else to do. Go pick somebody's trash up. Uh, go mop somebody's floor. Find something else to do. You shouldn't be in a position to where you can decide a person's future,
Yeah.
or even if they live or die,
Yeah.
and you don't have, a pure heart. Because let me tell you, when you have a pure heart and you have to take someone's life, let me back up a little bit. I was a cop for 32 years. I never had to kill anybody. Thank God. That is the most, that is the most proud thing, the best thing that I took away from my career. That I don't have to live with that. That I don't have to wake up in the morning and look in the mirror, and think back on, taking someone's life, right?
Yeah.
So that was a crowning achievement, that I was able to be so successful in such a difficult, dangerous job. And I never had to take anyone's life, even though people try to take my life on numerous different occasions. Right?
Yes.
But for the people that weren't as fortunate as me, for the cops that were not as fortunate as I was and had to take someone's life, let me tell you, it's not an easy thing, right? Because you lose a part of yourself when you take someone's life. You're never the same, right? You in essence become a victim as well, unless you're a complete sociopath or serial killer.
Yes.
But if you have a pure heart and you have to take someone's life, that is something that you can never ever get over it, and you carry it with you forever. So in essence, there's two victims, right?
Yes.
So one is more of a victim than the other because that person will never walk the earth again. But there's another victim that has to walk the earth sometimes like a zombie
With the
because
shadow of that person.
with the shadow of that person, because they can never ever get over the fact that they had to take someone's life. That's not a light thing. It's not an easy thing. And I feel for when I see cops that are involved in these horrific incidents. I feel for the person that lost their life, and I also feel for the cop's family, because I know what that cop's family is going to have to go through. And that's one thing that when we see cops with their badges and uniforms and belts and guns and cars, and we look at them like they're inanimate objects, right? But they're not. When you go to the grocery store, somebody standing behind you with a wife and 3 kids, that person could be a cop, right? When you see somebody playing in the backyard with their grandkids, that person could be a cop. Right? Cops are your relatives. They're your uncles and aunts and cousins and mothers and fathers. They're our community. They're us.
Yeah.
Us.
Yeah.
And that's something that we have to remember.
Yeah.
Um, and we've lost sight of that.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we are winding down this episode, and this couldn't have been a better way to open this episode here today. Whew, my goodness, we couldn't have opened April with any other topic but this. So I'm going to ask you one other question. Your book. What lesson are you trying to teach us here, and how you think this will help society from here on?
That's an excellent question, Verona. Because when I wrote the book, when I first started writing it, I wanted to write about my friends that were murdered. I had two police officers. I was close to them. When we weren't at work, we'd be over each other's houses playing dominoes and cards and drinking. So I was close to them. They were like my friends. And that
Yeah.
was a very traumatic incident because I was working that night. And that's actually how I start the book off. And initially, I wanted the book to center around that one incident. But as I started writing, I knew that there was so much more that I could pack into this book, right? I realized that there was a way to reach people, especially given the current atmosphere in regard to the way law enforcement interacts with society. I knew that this was a perfect opportunity for me not only to tell my story, but also to give my viewpoint in regard to what's going on between law enforcement and our society from both angles, because I
Yeah.
had lived it from both sides. I had a perspective from each angle. And the book evolved, and then I started writing about the trauma that I had experienced as a child, both physically and emotionally. And I realized that writing this book was therapeutic for me, because for once in my life I was able to face up to a lot of these things that I chose to bury deep inside my memory banks, right? So I let them out, and I realized that if I could do that for myself, I could certainly do that for others, and I could make other people look at the ugly truth about what's going on, in law enforcement, in local government, you know, uh, um, in our neighborhoods, um, even in our school districts. I
Yeah.
touched on all of it in the book. So it became this huge teaching odyssey for me, because like I say, if I could reach one, I could teach one. So
Yes.
if that book sells one copy, but the person who buys it and reads it learns from it and grows as a result of it, I'm happy with that, right? I'm happy with that, because a wise man once told me, um, you know our people don't read, right?
Hmm.
And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, our people don't read. We want to listen to music and shake our butts. He didn't say butts. He used another word.
Yes.
But, he said, that's all we want to do. We don't want to improve ourselves. We don't want to have knowledge. And he said, the most dangerous person in the world is an intelligent person, one that has knowledge. And like we talked about, the way they kept us in bondage was to restrict us from learning how to read when we were slaves, right? When our ancestors were slaves, that was a death sentence if they caught a slave with a book, or if you learn how to read, because they knew that as long as they could keep you from learning, as long as they could keep you from learning how to read, they could keep you subjugated, and not only have you in bondage physically, but have you in bondage mentally, which
Yes.
goes on far longer than after when they take off the actual physical restraints. The mental bonds, they remain for years, and to a certain degree, a lot of us still have those bonds around our minds. We're still in bondage to a certain
Hmm.
degree. So it's up to us. It's incumbent upon us to learn, to read, to gather as much knowledge as we can, not just about our culture, but about others as well.
Well, audience, if you weren't sipping your drink while we talking, then I'm telling you by now you are supposed to be thirsty, thirsty for something to drink, literally, and thirsty for knowledge. Yes, because my brother done got it going on right here. Now, if someone needs to follow you and get in touch with you and get some more of this juicy content, how can they get in touch with you?
They can follow. They can follow my Facebook page. I have an Instagram account, and I'll send it to you so you can get all the information out, the links.
Yes.
And I have a LinkedIn account. So,
All right. Whew. It has been a night, and it has been a pleasure having you. And what I normally would say here on this show, this is a place. This is a safe space. This is a place. It's a space. It's a platform where I take your book, your work in progress, and we learn, we grow, we develop, and most of all, we support each other. Now you have graced us with your presence here. To my left, there is a chair. I call it my guest chair. So when we get together, you can come and have your seat right here. But it's my guest chair. And I call it my guest chair because you are here. You are a guest on this show. But I don't call you a fan, and I don't want to use that word fan. I call you family. So I say, welcome to the family. This is where, whenever you're ready to come back here, the door is open. You just have to knock. And of course, I know it's you. Then I open the door and you come back home. And I'll tell you, welcome back home. This is your space. Whatever you're doing, whatever support you need, whatever resource I can share with you, it is right here. So this is to my left. Your name is over there on this chair.
okay.
I'm gonna have to start putting a little sticky with the names, So your seat is right here. You're welcome here any single time. And as we dismiss audience, you know what I do here before you go? There's always an off question, nothing to do with your book. I like to ask my guests one way off question.
Okay.
So are you ready for your question?
I'm ready.
All right. Now, your question is, what's the best present you ever receive? That's part one. And from who and why?
The best present that I ever received is from my youngest daughter, and it was on my 50th birthday, and it's a picture that's in a little like sterling silver case, and it's a picture of me holding her when she was 6 months old. And when she gave it to me, I kind of teared up because 50th birthday is a good party. It's a good age. You usually get like really good gifts, right? I was getting some nice expensive bottles of liquor, but when she gave me that, it was like to this day that's the best gift that I have received. And I know it didn't cost anything, but it was from the heart, and and it's my favorite picture of her.
And coming from the heart, that's expensive.
Yeah.
Thank you kindly. It costs a lot.
Yeah.
It cost a lot because she went deep down inside of her heart and said, "Let me see what I can give my daddy that nobody else will go to the store and purchase."
And she did it.
And she did. Because nobody else could have gone down into her heart, gone back into a memory box, and picked that up and hand it to you. So that was a very expensive gift. So yes, I want to celebrate her too. Yes, that was excellent. So as we close out this episode, I want to send you off into a space of love, into a space of peace and prosperity. I want to send you off into a space where when you walk, feel knowing that you yourself is love, knowing that you were created in love, by love. Let love be your element. Let love be your substance. Let love be your guide. as it guides you into peace, as it guides into peace of your mind, that your foot, your feet, your footstep may walk in peace and love joined together. Let those two be married. Let those two fall in love. That anywhere you go, you may eliminate those two, that someone else, at least one person, may draw from your source. So as I send you off, that's what I want to send you off in. Let those be your cloak. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here closing out this episode, and I want to thank everyone for showing up here today. Whether you're on Facebook or whether you're on YouTube, and whether you will be watching this on replay, it doesn't matter. The same thing goes for you. Seek peace and pursue it. Let love reign within you. Let respect reign in you, that as you go forward, someone must feel the energy of what you're bringing. Let us not walk where someone feels threatened by our presence, but let someone welcome us in their space. As we go into their space, let us know for sure that we'll make their space a better place. Cheryl and Sheila, thank you so much for coming here. Welcome back to this episode of the Question Live Show. Again, this is your host where I tell you, if you have a book, if you have a story, if you have work in progress, come on in here. Let us build together. Let us grow together. But most of all, let us support each other. For you to succeed in life, you cannot succeed by yourself. No one person can succeed by themselves. We all need someone else. So here I am presenting this platform to you. You don't have to accept it, but I'm presenting this platform to you to say, let us support you as you go on this journey. My brother, do you have a final word for the viewers?
Yes, I do. First of all, I want to thank you, Verona, for inviting me on this show. And to everyone watching this, we need to find love. It takes so much effort to hate, right? And love comes effortlessly, you know. And there's a reason that God made those two emotions that way. One comes effortlessly, one takes a lot of work. You know, let's be lazy in our pursuit of love.
I couldn't have said anything else. So because I can't say anything else, I'm not putting no sugar coat on that. I'm not putting no sprinkle on that. No gold dust on that. My brother, from my heart to your heart, I say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
All right. Good night, Verona.
Good night, one and all. Make sure you live in peace as we close out. See you here next week, same time, as we carry on in love and peace.